So let's talk about the guilt that nobody warns you about when you move abroad, especially if you're a Nigerian. Hi there, if you're just joining for the first time or you're a new subscriber, welcome. Super excited to have you as one of our family. I am Immigrant Jimmy and I talk about lifestyle, sociology content, and many other fun things. So make sure you plug in, subscribe, like, and share, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. As you know, I do not like to take too much time to do my introduction, so let's get right into the video. One of the guilts that we deal with is just being away from family and feeling like other people are in worse places than we are, especially once you move abroad. And because you are in a system that is working, you tend to feel like everybody back home is suffering and you feel like you need to compensate. And sometimes we tend to overcompensate them. Being away from family, we feel like we need to constantly reach out to them and ask, how is everything going? How is everything? Even when it is inconvenient. Because first of all, we have one thing that definitely wouldn't make communication as easy as before, and that is the time difference. The time difference is just one thing that you're gonna have to explain to people. And I think initially when I came, I didn't know how to draw that boundary, and I had to always want to pick up the call when they called me, and even when it was not as convenient for me. But after some time, I realized that I had to start drawing that boundary, and I had to start letting them know, like, this time is not convenient for me, because when you're sleeping, I'm doing something else. So when I'm trying to catch my sleep, I don't think it's the best time to call me. And so we had to, find a compromise, because the timing just really does affect everything, especially because I'm here in school. So I have to be in school every other time that I'm not sleeping or eating, and I have to do things for myself. So it took a while for me to have to communicate this without without sounding saucy or disrespectful, that I need to choose myself and I need to make out time for me. In as much as I miss you as my family, I want to be there for you. I want to have conversations and keep that connection going. But you all also need to understand that the timing does really affect, that we cannot communicate as often as we used to. We want to keep that connection, but it's not, we have to kind of draw the line because of what this means for me and what this also means for you. We want to keep the relationships, but we don't need to feel guilty for drawing certain boundaries because we're trying to survive. In Africa, like in Nigeria, just back home, if you can't pay your bills, you can move in with somebody. You can move in with your mom, your sister, your auntie. You don't have anybody else here. So if you don't do what you have to do to get your bills paid, if you're not in school, if you don't keep your grades up, you might lose your scholarship. If you don't get enough sleep, you might fall sick. You might not be able to do your work or something. So there's like so many of all those things that come into play. We tend to try to be overcompensating that we're not considering ourselves. And when we talk about self-love, you need to love yourself. These are the things that you need to put into consideration. You are loving yourself means you have to choose yourself. You have to make certain decisions that might hurt some people, but you're choosing yourself in this very instance. And I know before I used to be upset, like, oh, this person went out and they stopped talking to me. But when you get here, you understand that I feel like in Nigeria, we have 24 hours. But once you move abroad, it's like your 24 hours become 12 hours because you have to work. Like you can go to work in Nigeria and maybe something comes up, you get called, you can just leave and it doesn't really affect your paycheck. You can take permission and, attend to whatever emergency you want to attend to. But here, if you leave work, you don't get paid. You only get paid for the hours you work. So it's something that I feel like we don't explain enough, and sometimes people think they're making excuses when we're trying to let people know that I cannot reach out to you at the time you want me to reach out to you, and maybe when I reach out to you, you're not available. It's just something that you have to stop guilt tripping yourself for. You have to stop telling yourself that you're not doing it right or that there's something wrong. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your relationship. Just let people know that the communication is going to drop because I am trying to meet up with other targets and it just can't be as before. Okay, especially when we have like 5 hours difference or 6 hour difference. You know, when I'm free might not be a time that you're free, and I don't also want to affect your sleep. I don't also want it to affect my sleep, because I want to be up and active the next day. And that's typically why a lot of people leave on coffee, because they're really trying to overcompensate, and they shouldn't. You shouldn't be feeling guilty. Another thing I feel like we face a lot here is the guilt of everybody feeling like because you're abroad you're fine, or because you are outside the country you're doing good. A lot of people are really overworking themselves abroad just because they want to meet up with certain expectations from family and pressures, which is unnecessary. And I feel like I now understand why some people, when they move abroad, they tend to go private. Because it's like, if you want to stay on social media and try to meet up with the standards that the society creates for you and the expectations that you think people expect of you, you will crash. For real, you will crash for sure. So just learning to take it back and say, I'm not going to hold myself by the same standards that I'm seeing people on social media. At this point in time, I'm beginning to see social media as a very different platform, like more different than I saw it before. You know, like I see Instagram and I'm looking at it like, this is a dating app. You know, it's just a place where you show your best clothes, you show your best everything, and show all that glam and all that stuff, products. You know, it's a marketplace where people can meet people to date or to buy products or sell products. And so if you're not doing that, then maybe you need to limit your presence there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that. And sometimes you notice that people begin to withdraw from social media because it's like the pressure from social media just becomes extremely, it just begins to choke you up and you feel the need to withdraw. And if you ever feel like that, don't feel guilty. If you ever feel like I'm not able to meet up with being on social media, especially if you move abroad to study, trust me, you're not going to have that time. If you move abroad to work, you're not going to have that time. I tell you for sure. Especially if you're in the healthcare line, or you're coming to study for a graduate degree in a good institution, you would not have the time. You see that time that you have in school, the rest of the time you'll be using it for your assignments. Your breaks will just be where you relax to refresh and come back to work again. So there's really no time. And that's why don't feel guilty to take trips. Don't feel guilty to take out time for yourself. Don't feel guilty spending money on yourself. Because you see, when someone calls you and says they need something, you feel obligated to do it. You should also feel that obligated to take care of yourself, you know. Another thing I feel like we struggle with guilt for is the expectation to send money, even when we are not asked. Like, you know, when you call somebody and talk to them, or you call your friends, your longtime friends from Nigeria or from back home, and you talk to them and they start telling you they're going through this and they're going through that. And somehow there's this guilt that you feel like, oh, I'm in a better place. I should be able to work some hours just to send money to this person so they can do this. I'm not saying you should not send money back home, but I'm saying that you should not do it at the expense of your health. And don't do it just because you feel guilty. You need to sometimes self-check yourself, you know, because sometimes we take care of our family more than we take care of ourselves. And I feel like this guilt comes from when you look back at your life and you say, oh, well, my family supported me, or this person helped me when I was coming. This person maybe wrote me a letter, or this person assisted me with money to come here, and now I'm here. I need to pay back. And sometimes you can pay back for the next 10 years and it would never be enough. Because what you do when you constantly give people is that you train them to always depend on you. And sometimes I feel like we don't even look at the people that we're helping. Sometimes you're sending money to somebody because you want them to go buy a luxurious dress, or you're sending money to somebody so they can add money to party or to live more comfortably. But you, on your own end, you are not partying. You are working around the clock. You're taking night shift. They sleep all through the night. But you feel like you're not deserving enough to give yourself that amount of love. So you rather send the money to somebody else to feel good rather than send spend it on yourself because you feel you don't deserve it. That's where self-love comes to play. And I realize that a lot of us are living in that guilt that we need someone to checkmate us, to reality checkmate us, for us to get out of that feeling like you owe it to people to just make them happy. You owe it to yourself to make yourself happy just as much as you think you should help your family. You think you should. I'm not saying don't help your family or don't give your family when they ask you, but I want you to weigh it in such a way that you're not doing this at the expense of your health, and you're not doing this at the expense of your happiness and at the expense of your future. Because sometimes you keep sending back home and you realize that if only you had saved that money up, you would have built something for yourself and your future that you could not imagine. But because you constantly feel the need to keep compensating and overcompensating, you do it so much that you have nothing left. You now live from paycheck to paycheck, bills on bills, that if one day you lose your job, they cannot help you and you cannot help yourself. You end up homeless, and you don't want that to happen to you. So I think we should really learn to checkmate these things, because that's one of the guilt I feel like a lot of Nigerians or a lot of people living abroad tend to face. Another thing is the emotional labor of the holiday. People feel the need to help people. Oh, it's the holiday season, so I need to send this to this person. I need to send this. And even when they don't ask you, you start writing a list. Oh, this person helped me. This person helped me. And I want to say this particularly because sometimes when you move abroad, people tell you that once you move abroad, in the next 6 months, you're doing fine. But some people don't get it together in 6 months. Some people don't get it together even after a year. Some people don't still get it together after 2-3 years. Some people, they need about 10 years to say, now I'm doing fine. So if you see somebody who just moved out, they're making a few dollars, don't think it is too much for them to take care of themselves. If you see them taking trips, don't make them feel like, oh, you are enjoying now, you're having fun, we are here suffering. You're guilt tripping these people, and then you don't realize that you make them feel like they're not deserving of it. They worked for it. So if they can pay for a trip, let them. Because you know what happens every other time they're not on trips? They're working. People are doing night shift, driving in the snow, shoveling snow and doing everything just to make ends meet. So when you see that your friend abroad next time, don't make them feel like they are not deserving of what they are getting or what they are giving themselves. You know what I mean? So these are some guilts that I feel like we face, and even the whole social media thing. You don't need to be on social media, really. If you feel like you go there and you feel depressed when you see your friends doing good, you can stay off. You can delete the app. You can go off the app. You don't need to delete your account. You can go private. You can just stay off and get yourself back. Because this is why a lot of times at the end of the day, you say, oh, a lot of people abroad are depressed. People are depressed because you're comparing your life to somebody else on social media. Remember, people don't post themselves in their worst moments. Okay, somebody could be crying, and the moment the camera comes, the first thing people say is, smile for the camera. People are always putting on their best shows in front of the camera, okay? They only show you what they want you to see. So don't compare yourself and your life to somebody else just because you think they're doing better than you. Be grateful, be happy. And this holiday season, if you don't have enough to send, you don't have to. Don't feel you are compelled or you have to do it or you have to overcompensate for anything. Be you, stay true to you, love you. If you'd like to see more content like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you again in my next video. I remain your girl, Bye for now.